What do you mean the show started? You can't just tell me that the show started and then not, like, present me with evidence that the show has begun. Yeah, I know. Listen, I didn't take a vacation, okay? I didn't take a week off just because, oh man, it's so hard to do a podcast on a weekly basis. Oh, I'm pooped all the time, staying up at 1 o'clock in the morning, coming home and always doing, oop-de-doo, do podcast, oop-de-doo, do podcast. You want to know what I'm going to do? I'm going to eat a turkey sandwich and make all of you listen to all the noises that I make. So I've got this turkey sandwich and some Sprite in front of me. So this is going to be the turkey sandwich podcast review. So okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Turkey Sandwich Podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gut Wrench Podcast. My name is Mocha, but you already knew that. You already knew why you were here, and for that matter, you already know what's coming next. That's right. It's that time again. It's everybody's favorite podcast show. It's time for me to reveal what's going to happen in the next few minutes, or for that matter, the next few weeks. Because in the coming weeks, I have a 3-week event planned. But you know something? For you, the viewer, the listener of this great podcast, I'm going to bump it up a notch. I'm going to go ahead and turn it up from 10 to 11. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of spice onto that 3-week event, and I'm going to turn it into a boom 4-week event. In the coming weeks, we are going to week number 1 starting now. Starting tonight, we are going to 2006. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard me correctly. The golden year of 2006. Can you remember anything from 2006? Because I can't. The year of 2006, nonetheless. Tonight we will be looking at a pay-per-view known as... Hang on, let me get it right. New Year's Revolution. Now, they're boasting a high-profile main event, but it's really not that high-profile. It might have some big names, but it doesn't have, like, any big spots that happen or anything memorable. You know, I put that in air quotes, memorable, about the actual match itself. It just goes on way too long, and it was booked far too overbooked in a way, you know. But nonetheless, all of these supporting matches that you have at the beginning of the card and working your way down the card really aren't that good either, but it's the new year. Understand that we were leaving 2005, and we were leaving all of, I guess, whatever happened in 2005 behind. I'm really not sure what else to say. I hate the new year. I really do. Like, the first, the second week of January is absolutely abysmal for me. You know, why do we have to have a new year? Who dictates how long that the year is? If you think about it, reality as we know it is nothing more than a subsequent dream. We live on the third. Tell me how reality makes sense. Just really fast. I've been sitting here trying to explain to myself how reality makes sense and how exactly I was supposed to explain it on a live microphone in front of an audience of at least 30 to 40 people. But listen, we live on the third rock from the sun. For what we believe is almost 2,000 years, if not more, 2,023 years now, and counting. How exactly has a gamma ray not, wiped our planet out? A black hole. And a black hole sucks up everything, including, like, time and space. We don't know what's in there because, apparently, according to scientists, they can't shine a flashlight in there to see what's on the other side. And the whole alien conspiracy thing, too. I don't mean to bring that up or anything of that nature. But, it's kind of an anomaly. And an anomaly is something like, that they have evidence to support. The anomaly goes something like, the universe is so vast that there's no way that we're actually alone, but we can't check every nook and every cranny because it's going to take us 10,000 light years to figure out whether or not we are alone. And by the time that we actually figure it out, I don't mean to get deep or anything. I know it's just subsequently a wrestling podcast, but these are things that I think about on the daily. Whatever it comes up in conversation or whatever. If there's 9 other planets out there that orbit, or for that matter subsequently line up with the Earth, then who knows how many other planets that there are. It's kind of something to think about. If you haven't already sat down, think about it. It doesn't make sense to the point to where it does make sense. And I know that doesn't make sense, but listen at this. Why do we have 4 seasons? Why do we have time zones? Why do we have, certain things that seem to... Yeah, and I know what you're thinking too. Is he just rambling? And no, I'm not. I'm going to get to my point. Certain seasons, certain timelines, stuff of that. I wouldn't say timelines, holy crap. But, the time zones, stuff of that nature. Do you know what the explanation is? Why we have seasons? It's because our Earth, the Earth that we live on, it is on a slanted axis. That's what brings us seasons. Tell me, if you were to write that down on a piece of paper, how much sense would that make? 2 plus 2 equals 4. Why? Because we say that it does? Or because it's, quote, mathematically proven, Has anyone ever stopped to answer why? Just because it does, and there's no questioning that? Let me think. If there's another hypothetical why, I would say, why is the grass green? Why is the sky blue? All that, really doesn't, I won't say add up. It really doesn't add up whenever you think about it. In reality, the sky is just beige. You're just looking at it wrong. You need to stand on your head and look at it upside down. Look, I'm not here to just throw bullshit at the wall and see what sticks, because that would just be labeling me as a crazy person. 62 episodes. This is episode 62. My name is Mocha. And did you ever stop to ask why my name is Mocha? Even though I already answered that multiple times. But, just silly little wholesome story. Yeah, just try to ask deep questions the next time. Maybe try to think like a little boy or a little girl, because children have the answer to everything. Sometimes they'll look at you and they'll basically be like, one time in a dream that I had, monsters were chasing me, and then I was like, yeah, it's great, little Johnny, but what'd you do today? And then he'll be like, I took a 5-hour nap. I'll be like, yeah, that's what he just said. He said he had a dream about monsters chasing him. He must have taken a nap. And that's awesome. But nonetheless, since it's the new year, I thought that it was appropriate to look at the new year of 2006. Hopefully my endless ranting didn't, throw someone's loop into a, didn't tie someone in a knot, maybe, or, oh, what's he talking about? So, like I said, I have a point, and the point is, why exactly do we celebrate a new year? What's so new about it? And for that matter, who dictates whether or not a calendar year is 365 days? Is it a part of some higher religion that I wasn't told about? Why can't the year be 2,859 days? I really don't know who writes this stuff, but it's not me. Nonetheless, we open the show, they open their show, rather, that I will be reviewing, and everyone talks about their experience in the Elimination Chamber. Now, keep in mind, this is the 4th ever Elimination Chamber, so they've had 3 others before this one, and the ones that they've had before this one, seeing as though that, to my knowledge, this is the first time that they used plexiglass over what they called bulletproof glass last time, I'm pretty sure that the problem isn't bullets, but for whatever reason, they thought that someone was going to be bringing a gun into a wrestling ring, and I guess that they started using plexiglass instead of bulletproof glass. Do you want to know what happens whenever someone goes through something that's not plexiglass, but it seems to be shatterable bulletproof glass? They get cut, and they get cut really, really bad. And whenever I say that they get cut, what do I mean by that? Imagine going through a window that's not plexiglass, and it's going to shatter, like all around you and all on you. It's going to open you up, basically. It's going to go into little tiny pieces, individual pieces, and afterwards you're going to have what they call the crimson mask. So in order to prevent everyone from being hurt this time around like that, and, oozing blood like a cannoli that's got, like, the feeling in it, they stopped using the bulletproof glass. They started using plexiglass. Everyone talks about their experience in the Elimination Chamber, that they've talked about how barbaric the structure truly is. Funny thing is, they've talked about this multiple times. They've done this bit multiple times when they've talked about the Hell in the Cell, or or the TLC matches, or anything that involves like heavy steel and heavy metal, and not like, heavy metal like Slipknot, just heavy metal, Try to stick with me here, people. They use it as a tool to further the story that they're trying to sell, how painstakingly painful the match and what kind of effect that it has on the performers, the participants in the chamber. Because at times it has only been 3 or 4 elimination chamber matches in the history of the company. Hear from HBK, Kane, Benoit, Triple H, Booker T, in an effort to sell just how barbaric the chamber truly is. They boast that it's 16 tons of steel. You will be punished, tortured, torn to shreds. All of the punishment for glory. All in the pursuit of glory makes it all worth it. And then they say, and now the makers of WWE's DVD board game presents New Year's Revolution. So, holy crap, I had no idea that they made a board game based upon the DVD, or the DVDs, rather, that they have sold over the years. I wonder if there's still any online. Our first match of the night, and had it been up to me, this would not be the first match of the night, because I would save the title matches for the co-main event, or for that matter, later on down the card. Understand that your position on the card is the equivalent to the paycheck that you are receiving. So, if, for instance, you put all of your title matches up first, then it almost makes it seem like that there's going to be the higher paid guys getting like the actual main event characters getting like the higher paychecks. However, in this case, I can understand why they did what they did, because, spoiler alert, we're going to have a new champion tonight. And no, not a new Intercontinental champion. Edge loses this match. Well, inherently loses. I mean, he loses via disqualification. He grabs his briefcase and he hits Ric Flair upside the head with it because he gets so tired of Ric Flair kicking out of everything. And he makes the old man bleed. So what do you know? I wouldn't have this championship match as being the opening contest. In hindsight, I know why this is the opening contest, so that Ric Flair can go to win or get disqualified somehow, retain his Intercontinental Championship, and Edge to beat Cena, go into cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, and in that case, good on them, but it could have been done a little bit differently and better, if that. They talk about the road rage incident. They talk about Ric Flair's divorce. So, for whatever reason, Flair hasn't been on TV for 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 weeks or whatever. And the reason that is because his lawyer has barred him from going in public and basically talking about his personal issues that he's having. He had a road rage incident, according to what they're talking about here, and I tried to do some research on that, and especially look up some clips on Peacock about that, but Peacock was having none of it. The episode before this, it was either the episode before or 2 weeks before, Monday Night Raw went ahead and cut the original airing of the what's known as the Cutting Edge, which was a talk show that Edge would host, where he made fun of Ric Flair. They completely cut that out. I wouldn't say completely, because here's what they do, right? They show the graphic on the Titantron on the screen, and then they say, next up, we're going to have Ric Flair being interviewed by Edge on the Cutting Edge, which is like his talk show. Well, then it comes on, and that segment was removed. And I had to go online in order to find it. And it's basically just Edge talking in a pre-recorded segment, in a way. So he took a picture of Ric Flair and he cut out Ric Flair's lips, and he zoomed in on it really well, and I guess you could say he was wearing like the Ric Flair picture as a mask, and almost like mouthing everything. Like, Edge knew what to say, and then he knew what the Ric Flair was going to say that was recorded on the screen. And he just completely made fun of Ric Flair. Now, it has been a while since I've watched that clip, so I don't exactly know what they said, but if you would like to hear it, I'm sure it's somewhere online. I didn't see my audio pick that up, so I do apologize. So I do know why this was the opening contest, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Ric Flair puts Lita in the figure 4 leg lock. Edge dinks Ric Flair over the head with a briefcase and gets disqualified to lose, and the crowd's chanting, "You suck." To Edge, what a needle mover he was. Jonathan Coachman, all match was with Edge and against Flair. The timekeeper continues to ring the bell every time a DQ action is performed. Imagine being in the front seat next to this asshole chanting toward... Oh, okay, they were chanting asshole toward Edge. Flair got what he deserved according to Coach, and that's not true at all. Let's talk about the fact that she got repeatedly involved into the match and was a factor, seen the rivalry begin. Alright. 1 second, there's a pop-up on my computer. We're going to go ahead and say no. Not sure why they're trying to sell me something, but okay. Todd Gresham interview with Kurt Angle, his first match in the Elimination Chamber. First off, so here's what Kurt Angle says. He says, first off, before I get into that, I hope the United States loses the war in Iraq. Kurt Angle did a full 180 degrees that I'm sure that I'm using, hearing from about how proud he was to be your Olympic hero. Yeah, from going how proud he was to be an Olympic hero, you know, how proud he was to basically represent the United States of America in the 1996 Olympics and beat some Iranian guy. Can you imagine, though? Just how do I say this? Kurt Angle versus this other character. I'm going to assume that he was some sort of Iranian guy. From some of the clips that I've seen, he looked Middle Eastern. And can you imagine, like, being like his father, and then I mean, his entire career, Kurt Angle would just go on and on and on about how much of an Olympic hero that he was, right? And how he won the 1996 Olympics. Can you imagine being like the runner-up to that guy? And every time that, like, his dad doesn't see him live up to his potential or whatever, you know, well, at least I didn't lose to an American in the 1996 Olympics, despite him having a broken frickin' neck. Because Kurt Angle wrestled that match having a broken neck. I don't know. It's just something that I've thought about before. So, Angle says that he hopes the United States loses the war in Iraq. He did a full 180. I'm used to hearing him talk about how proud he is to be your Olympic hero. He's not a very big fan of black people, is what he says. He wants to make Jesus tap out. He says he's better than Cena. He says that he's beat Cena. He's beat HBK and Kane at WrestleMania. And Masters and Carlito aren't even in my league. He's the greatest professional wrestler in the world, which arguably is true. At this point in time, he was at least top 3. Yeah, I find myself trying to argue with that statement, but having a hard time arguing with that statement. Same time, at this point, it was hard to deny Kurt Angle was among the top 5, at least the top 3. The next match on the docket is Mickie James versus Trish Stratus. Now, we've talked about James and Stratus before, but allow me to give you a rundown of what's happened in the coming weeks. Now, as you all know, before the new year is Christmas. So, what happens at Christmas? Usually you hang these little things in your house, and I'm not really sure where they come from, but apparently they're called mistletoe. You've never catch me under a mistletoe, that's for damn sure. No woman, no man, no child, and especially not some transvestite has caught me under a mistletoe, because I've never even seen one except for like on TV. So, if that's the case, and like read about them in books for whatever reason, I mean, I'm not reading the whole biography on, like, you know, mistletoe or anything like that. I've never even watched a Discovery Channel on how it's made. So, a few things to go over here before this match begins, though. Because usually before the match begins, they'll show you like a little promo package of what's happened in the coming weeks. We're going to go over what's happened in the coming weeks between Trish Stratus and Mickie James. So Trish walks. Oh, that shouldn't say Trish. It should say Mickie. Mickie walks in on her in the shower right as her towel is off, and Mickie says, "Wow, Trish, nice boobs." And Trish just tries to cover up and just says, "Mickie, you know, like, could you not compliment me on my tits? You know, like, what are you doing?" Mickie kisses Trish under the mistletoe, even kidnapping her as a Christmas present to, quote, herself. So here on my notes, I tried to make an alliteration of some sort. I tried to almost capture the essence of what it is that Mickie James was trying to do that night. Because she comes to the ring, and she's got a microphone in her hand, and she says, "Trish, I've got a surprise for you." And then she says, "So why don't you come on down to the ring, and I'll give it to you." And Trish Stratus's music hits. So everyone's under the impression that once little Kim starts singing, that Trish Stratus is going to come to the ring. But behind Mickie James is like a huge present, like one of those presents, like if you type in present emoji on your phone, you're bound to find what I'm talking about. But it's like a life-sized version, almost as big as Mickie James. But anyway, what ends up happening is after Trish Stratus's music hits, she doesn't come to the ring within like 30 to 40 to 45 seconds. And then she's like, "Trish, don't you want your present?" And then her music starts to hit again. And then they wait a few more seconds, and the commentary is like, "Well, where's Trish Stratus? Why wouldn't she come to the ring? She's being invited by Mickie James." And then Mickie goes, "Oh, that's right. I forgot. Silly me. Always forgetting things." And afterwards, she takes she almost takes like the top off of the present. All four of the walls to the present fall down as if the top was holding it up, and it shows Trish Stratus. She's been bound and gagged and tied to a chair, and Mickie ends up saying something along the lines of, "You're my Christmas present, Trish." So for that little segment, I thought, oh man, what's a good, Uno reverse card, alliteration that my audience would understand. So a few years ago, a friend of mine, my cousin, tried to show me this music video that had Eminem in it for whatever reason, and it's called like Stan or something like that, and it starts something like this: "Dear Slim, I tried to call you, but you didn't answer." Something like that. He's just writing him a letter, and then at the end of it, it's revealed that, oh, I think it was you. Some maniac driving off the side of the road or something like that. I mean, I really can't keep up with it because I'm not really sure what Eminem was talking about in the song. I'm going to be 100 with you guys. But it's called like Stan or something. So I put an alliteration to that here. It says, talk about the song Stan by Eminem, like the twist that Mickie pulled on Trish. She's been the champion for a little over a year. Now Mickie, okay, so halfway through the match, maybe 3 or 4 minutes into the match, Mickie gropes Trish. So, once again, the sexual harassment continues. Telling her she has nice boobs, giving her a kiss, kidnapping her, like groping her during a wrestling match. You can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. You just can't. Also, the rating for this entire event, the reason that it was rated what it was, which was probably TV-14, if I remember correctly, was for sexual situations. So I assume that's why they gave it the rating that they did. So here on my notes, I also say that to talk more about Mickie James and how she's made her comeback and WWE from, I think it was like 2018, 2019, 2017, and how WWE at the Royal Rumble a few years back acknowledged her returning, even though she was the Impact Women's Champion. They literally said, the Royal Rumble, they said for whatever reason that the the Impact Wrestling Women's Champion, and they said this on their time. Not sure why they would, because from what I've looked at, violates many contracts with like networks and stuff of that nature. You're not really allowed unless, like, otherwise. It's really hard for me to specify how exactly to talk about it. You know, WWE's on one network, they've got a contract with NBC, and NBC doesn't really have a contract with like Access TV, I think it's called. And with Access TV, which is what Spike TV is on, or Spike, oh, god damn it, I hate messing shit up. Impact Wrestling is on, and with Impact Wrestling being on a different network and all that, I'm gonna assume that there were some lines crossed, you know. But I suppose WWE can pay whatever fines that NBC throws at them. Even though she was the Impact Wrestling Women's Champion, it's extremely out of character for WWE to do something like this, of its nature. Acknowledge another wrestling company, unless they have bought out the rights to that said wrestling company. Not sure who was in charge back then, though, but good on them. They even put a light on their own big superstar to send a shout out on publicized TV and his social media in AJ Styles. Allowed him to congratulate Impact Wrestling for 20 years on their 20-year anniversary 6 months ago. So good on WWE for really understanding humble beginnings. Talk about the hypothetical scenario where someone comes in and wants to buy the Gut Wrench podcast with a huge amount of money, so long as I never talk about my days in the Gut Wrench podcast. Then 20 years goes by, and they let me say, happy anniversary, Gut Wrench podcast, to open on my computer. And I'm not really sure whether or not the audio is picking up right now, because it's chosen to, for whatever reason, decide that it's a good idea to open now. I said no. I didn't hit anything on my computer, and neither did my cats. So something's not picking up here. I hate where. So that would be a huge advantage if that were to happen. Someone come in and we want to the IP, the Gut Wrench podcast, like to send you some money maybe. Only problem with that is that you can't really use the name Mocha anymore. We want that, you know. The next match that we go to, before we get to the match, however, we must go to a segment from Maria, who is having a little bit of a problem because usually she's the person who interviews people. The only problem is she's got no one to interview, so she decides that it's a good idea to interview herself. So much like Schmeagol from the Lord of the Rings franchise, she improvises an interview in which that it sees her jumping from one side, the person who is interviewing with a microphone, and then jumping to the other side of the area that she's standing in, the person who's receiving the questions for the interview, so that she can answer the interview that she's posed to herself. She says, "Hi, I'm Maria, and I'm here to interview one of the participants in the Gauntlet Bra and Panties match." And then she says, "Maria, so, well, gee, Maria, I really don't think you should start with such a hard question." I didn't hear a question, but okay. And Greg Helms wants to know, why are they wasting valuable interview time with Maria? Gregory Helms lets Maria know that he's got some bad news for her and Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler isn't going to be on commentary tonight to do his regular puppies, creepy old man commentary routine, because he's going to send him to the hospital. Sheldon Benjamin shows up. He literally passes right by Sheldon Benjamin. So the next segment was literally right there. So Sheldon Benjamin shows up with his mom, despite the fact that he's trying to tell her he doesn't have a wrestling match tonight. She says that's the part of the problem, because she doesn't see him wrestle all year. All year? It's the beginning of the year. What do you mean all year? Since he lost the Intercontinental Championship, he's not been doing anything. She asks if he's hungry. He says he's already eaten a protein bar earlier today. She says that's part of the problem. Again, that's part of the problem. He's not eating right. So, of course, he starts to become somewhat of a mama's boy. Jerry the King Lawler versus Gregory Helms. And I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. Lawler drove power drove Andy Kaufman and slapped him silly. And he did the same thing with Jim Carrey. And according to commentary, Joey Styles on commentary, Jim Carrey's movie career has never been the same since being slapped silly by Jerry Lawler. Whether or not that's true or not, I still don't know. Did he do Dumb and Dumber after or before this? You know, being slapped silly, I mean. WWE Instant Access Room as Trish and Mickey talk a little about their match. And Trish is surprised to be getting a hug from Mickey and starts to ask, "You do know that you lost out there, right?" Her response is, "Yeah, but our hot sway bodies and our skin to skin contact was so chic, like the finest satin. I was awesome." Mickey pulls Trish in for a hug, and Trish turns away from her as the scene closes. So Trish was just trying not to get groped again, basically. If you watch the clip, you know, and whatever it was that she just said, yeah, but it was awesome, you know, our sway bodies and our skin-to-skin contact was like the finest satin and silk, or whatever she was trying to say, you know. Okay, she plays the almost like the crazy woman, but it's so good, you know. Mickey James has come a long way. Whenever you think about, like, evolution, character evolution wise. Okay, but Sheldon Benjamin's mom's trying to find food for her son because earlier in the event, like she said, that's the problem. You're not eating right or whatever. She's trying to find food for her son, and in doing so, runs into the world's largest love machine, Viscera, who wants to know if he can be her daddy tonight. She said, hell no. So he says that she's so nice and spice and he wants some of that. What the hell? Triple H attacks Ric Flair in the ring the next week, claiming there's no compassion. Okay, so last week, rather, not the next week. Last week. I'm not sure why I put the next week. But Triple H attacked Ric Flair in the ring the next week, claiming there's no compassion the way the audience sees him. So the audience is basically saying, oh, this is a man without compassion, you know. But Big Show comes out to let him know that he's not a compassionate man. After what he did to Ric Flair last week, Triple H cost Big Show an opportunity at the World Championship. So Big Show was originally, all he had to do was win one match, and Big Show would have been in the main event here tonight, which is an elimination chamber. But someone else ended up winning that match, thanks to interference from Triple H. Cost him a championship. Then Big Show returns the favor, and Triple H responds by calling him a fat boy. And the way that he says it too, listen to this. Fat boy. You know, like, there's no Y there. There's just an I. There's a B-O-I. That's how he said it. Fat boy. Triple H was trying to give the Big Show a handicap, but instead he gave him a weapon. An unintentional weapon. So, Big Show has like this cast on his hand, and for whatever reason, I don't think that he can feel anything, because Triple H broke his hand with a sledgehammer, and he had so much padding probably on that cast that whenever he would go to hit something or hit somebody, he wouldn't feel a damn thing. And the irony in this is the fact that the Big Show's hand was wrapped up so tight that it looked like a sledgehammer. You know, if you take a sledgehammer and you look at the concrete part of it, the part that's meant to actually break the concrete, because that's what sledgehammers are used for, to break concrete. But if you look at that part, Big Show's hand looked exactly like it. In, like, I guess lengthwise, you know, how big it was, how girthy it was. Yeah, it looked like the sledgehammer tip. And oddly enough, Big Show is supposed to be one half of the tag team champions, but the tag team titles are not defended tonight, which is once again another, you know, mistake on their part. I would have made sure to put the championships on the line first and then do whatever may follow last. So Kane wouldn't have been in the Elimination Chamber had it been up to me, because Kane and the Big Show would have had some sort of tag team match, or I would have stripped them of their titles and held a tag team tournament that would have started tonight so that we can find new tag team champions. For a division to go without champions in a wrestling setting would be somewhat of a travesty. Unintentionally, of course, it gave him a cast that matches a sledgehammer tip in a way. The tag team championships are not on the line. Kind of trash, but As much as I hate multi-man matches, the one thing I hate more than that is championships that go undefended. So Triple H versus Big Show, 2 out of 5 stars. I've done this once before. Had nothing to do with it. Their premise, what the Triple H kept asking the Big Show. Okay, so basically, I made a note here to make an alliteration to some rivalry that they had in 1999, early 2000, around the same time too. You know, it was December 1999, because they kept talking about how it was the last wrestling show of the millennium, because the millennium's coming to an end, you know, the 90s millennium, because the 2000s are now upon us. That's what happened. Triple H, for whatever reason, kept promising Big Show title shots at this point in time. Back then, he kept talking about the fact that, hey, Big Show, you do this for me, I'll give you a title shot. Hey, Big Show, you know, you do this for me, you got a guaranteed title shot. And then he just kept, like, furthering the guaranteed title shot rope, almost like he was afraid of the Big Show, and he kept almost like, only thing you got to do is you just got to do one more thing. You know, jump through another hoop, why don't you? Jump through another hoop, why don't you? Okay, and if I do this one thing, you promise to give me a title shot. And he's like, yeah, whatever. You go do for me, and then we'll talk about you later. You know, you don't call me, I'll call you, you know. That's the way Triple H was acting. And that was back then. Now it's not about championships. It's not about anything like that. Triple H beats the cast off of a steel that surrounds. So the Big Show, like I said, he's got a cast on his hand, and Triple H beats the cast off of like the steel that surrounds the ring, making sure that that hand is good and exposed. Expose the injured hand of the Big Show, so he can get the damage to critical condition. Much of the match is Triple H putting key lock / wrist lock / hammer lock, getting the Big Show to start sweating. And Big Show he was sweating profusely. He broke so Big Show, once the referee was down, here was the funny part. This was kind of like one of those frickin' cartoons, you know, like Wile E. Coyote would only fall whenever he noticed that there was no ground beneath him, you know, one of those moments, you know. Triple H grabs his sledgehammer as the referee's getting knocked down, and he comes into the ring, and then afterwards he's like, haha, I got you now, Big Show, I got big sledgehammer. Me big sledgehammer boy, you know. And Big Show just takes with his cast and then just breaks the sledgehammer handle in half. But Triple H throws it on the ground. Why would he do that? The referee's still knocked out, right? Keep that in mind. And just because he broke it in half doesn't mean anything, because he didn't break the tip of the hammer that breaks concrete. But Triple H acts like it's a useless weapon now, that it's got no handle. I don't understand. You don't need the handle, you just need the hard part to hit him upside the head with. But later on in the match, he figures that out. Not sure why it took him so long. Triple H breaks the hand even further by smacking it with a steel chair. The crowd sounds kind of sleepy after the match. Not a lot of noise being made. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars, if I didn't already say that. Carlito says what do Shawn Michaels, John Cena, and Kurt Angle have in common? Of course, he's talking about his opponents later on tonight in the Elimination Chamber he's telling Chris Masters that him and Masters are in the same boat, perhaps looking to get Chris Masters on his side, realizing that they could quite possibly outnumber them in the Elimination Chamber. He might need someone to watch his back. As we go to our next match, Shelton Benjamin versus Big Daddy V, the world's largest love machine. Shelton Benjamin's mom, inadvertently, is what that's supposed to say, inadvertently volunteers him for a match that he wanted no part of against the world's largest love machine, Viscera, otherwise known as Big Daddy V. The problem is, in case you're not aware, Big Daddy V is well north of 325, 350 pounds. He might be 400 pounds plus. Yeah, or more. Sheldon, on the other hand, is lucky if he's 230, 235. Shelton Benjamin's mom doesn't seem to understand that Shelton Benjamin, her boy, doesn't want any part of Big Daddy V, perhaps knowing that he would sit on him. His mom promised a sweet potato pie if Shelton Benjamin wins this match. The commentary the whole match is provided in large part by Shelton Benjamin's mother, who keeps calling Viscera a, quote, overgrown ox. So whenever Shelton Benjamin gets thrown on the ground, spine busted, whenever he gets sit on, elbow dropped, anything happens to Shelton Benjamin, his mom keeps saying, do I need to get my belt? You better whip him or I'm gonna whip you. Big Daddy V was humping Sheldon. Okay, so I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. It's not much of a wrestling match, but damn is it entertaining. Vince McMahon comes into Shawn Michaels' dressing room and reminds him that no one has ever entered the Elimination Chamber number 1 and was the first entry to come out victorious. Shawn Michaels then remarks to the pep talk he says, thanks for the pep talk, but let me remind you, no one has ever won the Royal Rumble in the number 1 entry, but I did. Letting the boss, Mr. McMahon, know that no one has ever competed in a ladder match at WrestleMania, but Shawn Michaels did. No one has ever went into a Hell in a Cell, but he did, talking about all of the firsts that he has done in his wrestling career. Mr. McMahon comes Shawn Michaels and lets him know that there's the first time that he wins tonight would be the first time that hell freezes over. But good luck. Now we go to a bra and panties, the first ever bra and panties gauntlet match, which is the co-main event, believe it or not. Two women will start the contest and will continue until all of the women in the ring then I guess the way they explain it, keep your clothes on and you will win the match, because the woman with her clothes on wasn't being stripped down to her bra and panties will be the woman who is declared victorious, is kind of how they explain it. Maria starts with Candice Michelle, and commentary is being extremely misogynistic, saying stuff like, oh, they don't know who to cheer for. They want to see all of the women in their bra and panties. So basically they're like, oh, I can't cheer for Candice Michelle because I want to see her naked, I mean, I don't want her to win. I want her to lose so that I can see more of her body. What? Swear to God. They want to see the women in their bra and panties, so basically don't want to see any woman win. I don't mean to be this person, and yeah, maybe they're joking. I mean, for the sake of the viewers and TV and stuff like that, and maybe there's a lot of people who do agree with what they're saying, sitting at home like, yeah, I agree with you. I want to see Candice Michelle naked too, or at least half naked. But can we please stick to the wrestling? If you want to see any of these ladies in their underwear, you can look that up on your free time. But at this point in time, Candice Michelle and Maria both have already graced the cover of Playboy magazine. Not to be that guy, but that's facts. Candice is wearing a blue bra and Maria is wearing a pink bra, while Jerry Lawler says, pink and blue, those are my two favorite colors. Maria eliminates Candice Michelle first, then Tori Wilson enters. Enters next. I don't know why that says Nix. And something that I'm just noticing is that Tori Wilson's entrance music is not Tori Wilson's entrance music. It's Michelle McCool's entrance music, who would win, who would make her debut after that year's Diva Search. And Maria's entrance music is not the famous entrance music done by the All-American Rejects. Instead, it's Alicia Fox's entrance music, or what would be known as Alicia Fox's entrance music. Tori Wilson gets stripped down to her bra. It's red bra. Did I tell you that my favorite color is red's my favorite color, is what Jerry Lawler says. Ordinarily, we would call that Maria does a monkey flip to Tori Wilson to get her into the corner, and Joey Styles said ordinarily we would call that a monkey flip, but I guess due to some unforeseen circumstances, they can't really call the match. The referee was trying to stop Tori from hitting her, and while Tori had her back turned, Maria took off her pants and exposed her panties. Essentially, she got pantsed because the referee, for whatever reason, was catching Tori Wilson's hand, and because she went to slap him, and I don't know why. I'm not really sure why she went to slap him, but she attempts to slap the referee, and of course he's got both of her wrists. So then Maria comes in and just pantses her, and she is eliminated. Tori Wilson, after all that hot streak of Victoria, is the next woman in. She eliminates Maria, rather, then Mae Young and the Fabulous Moolah, and this is where things get crazy. So, for whatever reason, Jerry Lawler thought that it'd be a good idea to start making jokes right here, and rightfully so. He sort of tells the best jokes. He says, I call Mae Young the Liberty Bell because she's old, heavy, and slightly cracked. The only thing holding her up is her vast gross veins. Make alliteration to the Miss Rumble Pageant 2000. So if you've seen my episode on the Royal Rumble 2000, I'm sure it's one of the 62 episodes that I've reviewed, but I do remember Mae Young taking off all of her clothes and stating to the world that she wanted these people to see her puppies, and that's something that nobody wanted to see. Just wait, it gets better. So I'm putting here on my notes that, I wanted to make alliteration to that because that's somewhat what we're getting here. Royal Rumble 2000 we recently looked at. Well, not recently. As an 80-year-old dinosaur starts to take off her clothes, Mae is trying to take Victoria's bra off several times, sneak attacking her. So Victoria sneak attacked the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young, but then after realizing that she had made a mistake and that she was outnumbered by two old ladies, Victoria got straight mauled by Mae Young, who gets on top of her and starts trying to expose her breasts. I kid you not. She's trying to take off this woman's bra, and she's like, "Oh, you want to mess with me?" She's like trying to literally, and she has to ask. Victoria has to be like, "Can you get her off of me?" to the referee who's standing right beside of her, just watching it happen. 6 or 7 times. She's like, "Hey, can you help me?" Meanwhile, she's trying to use one hand to back Mae Young off of her, and use the other hand to not, have her tits, shown everywhere on national television or pay-per-view or whatever they were filming on or broadcasting on. Stop this crazy 80-year-old lady that has one mission: to pull off Victoria's bra on national TV. Then the 2005 Diva Search winner comes out with once again the wrong entrance music. Someone handcuffed Mae Young to her walker is what Jerry Lawler says. Ashley wins. Was quite the wrestling match going in, and it had a better start than an ending, but I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Do you know what I say about panties? They're not the greatest thing in the world, but they're close to them. Jerry the King Lawler, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I say about panties? They're not the greatest thing in the world, but they're close to them. Okay, so once again, they play the hot package for the Elimination Chamber. 10 tons of steel, 36 inches in diameter. Like I'm supposed to know what a diameter is. The most punishing and diabolical structure ever constructed to be put around a wrestling ring. I guess it's a close race to that and the Inferno match, because, I mean, it beats the hell out of having fire all around the ring. Because it sure beats the hell out of having fire. I'll talk about the bulletproof glass, which I already touched on. They had to stop using and replace it with plexiglass. Just too many people are getting hurt. The following match is the WWE Championship match, and I'm not going to go into full detail. You know, for a match that they call the most diabolical structure, or whatever it is, that whatever cliche that they seem to put on it, they stay in the wrestling ring like a majority of the match. They don't go outside to... My point is, if you're going to spend... I wonder how much money this costs, because they're saying that it's over 2 miles of chain. Over 2 miles of chain, 10 tons of steel, it's 36 inches in diameter, to be put around the wrestling ring. And you never go out there, right? I mean, they did go out there maybe like 4 times. But why? Why was it put around the wrestling ring if it wasn't going to bring any element to it? So, they were eliminated in this order. So, Shawn Michaels and John Cena start the match. This is the 4th chamber in history. Carlito gets a pop. So, Carlito comes in next. Everything Cena does... So, Cena, basically, at this point in time, it feels to me like he got stale very fast, because no matter what he does, the crowd, for whatever reason, they're not behind him. They could care less. They're booing him. They're saying Cena sucks. You know, every time that he gets a rally, they would rather be somewhere else. They're like, oh man, not this guy again. You know, so in the world of professional wrestling, you can't get stale. If you get stale, the audience, the people are going to let you know about it. Much like me, I hope that I never get stale. I hope that this content never, oh God, not this guy again. You know, I hope that it's not something that you don't look forward to every week. And if you need to, take a break, you know, like, I'm not going to judge you. And for that matter, you know, you shouldn't care about what I think. I'm just some nobody on the internet. At least now I am, you know. Maybe later I'll be somebody on the internet. But for right now, that's not the case. You know, John Cena at this point in time really didn't have that much evolution. Character evolution is pivotal for professional wrestling. Think about people like Bray Wyatt. Think about people like... especially Bray Wyatt. In my own personal opinion, Alexa Bliss. And I could talk all fucking day about this woman, Alexa Bliss. But unfortunately, I don't have that much time. Let's just say she came out and she was a glitter. She came out blowing glitter dust, and, you know, she was talking about stuff like, watch me sparkle while I shine. And she's come a long way from watch me sparkle while I shine and doing live periscopes and answering fan questions and trying to be this pixie, you know, that she was. Now she is a complete and utter badass compared to what she was back then. Back then, all I knew is that she was some fairy from Columbus, Ohio. But I wanted to know more, so I continued to watch the evolution of Alexa Bliss. And I hope to God that they make a DVD about her or something. She deserves some sort of praise for bringing the women to another tier, you know, another level of competition. And there's other women that I could talk about too. There's the Becky Lynch, who went from being everybody's best friend to being everybody's worst enemy. Because, lo and behold, Becky now, she found her voice. And for that matter, she stuck to her guns. And Seth Rollins, I mean, if we're not talking about women's wrestling, then why not Seth Rollins, who is her husband, Becky Lynch's husband, who found his footing as the visionary. And shortly before that, he was the man. Shortly before that, before stealing Becky Lynch, or before Becky Lynch stole his gimmick of being the man, he was the leader of the Shield, even though they claim the Shield never had a leader. Oh no, he never had a leader. And shortly before that, he was Mr. Monday Night Rollins. You know, like, he's had so many incarnations, so many evolutions, that it's easy to look at Seth Rollins and then say, yes, I love it. Everything that you're doing and more. Now, shut up and take my money, you know? Like, that's what John Cena needed, though. He needed some sort of evolution. He needed some sort of, almost like, I have to reinvent myself in a way, like Taylor Swift, for instance. And I know I can hear you guys just turning off the podcast right now as soon as I say her name. I don't know why everybody hates on Taylor Swift, but Tay-Tay finds a reasonable amount of people in one genre of music, and then she's like, okay, so as long as I can continue to consistently pump out music of this nature. And then she's taken over, like, country music, and then she's went into, like, pop music, and then after that she went into, like, other music. You know, I don't necessarily know what she's into now, but she's taken over the world. But anyway, back to the match. Now they enter in this order: Carlito, Kurt Angle, Chris Masters, Kane. Kane won some beat the clock challenge that they were all competing in, and he won the right to enter the match last, which is a huge advantage in most cases. Angle is out first, Kane is out second, Shawn Michaels is out third, Masters is out fourth, Carlito was the last person eliminated, and John Cena, he's about to celebrate. They're raising the cage, or the big chamber, and then they're like, here's your winner and still WWE champion, John Cena. But before Cena's entrance music can hit, there's only one more thing left to do. John Cena lays in the ring, a beaten, bloody mess, and you hear the entrance music of one Vincent Kennedy McMahon, who comes out to say, we're not done yet. We're far from done, Mr. Cena. He ends up telling him that there's an individual who would like to cash in their Money in the Bank contract tonight. And Edge hands him the contract, spears John Cena, goes for the pin, only to get a 2 count, spears John Cena again, gets the 3 count, and we have a new WWE champion, Edge. Now, after he wins, this is the lamest celebration I've ever seen in my entire life. Because there's no confetti. There's no, like... the only thing you get is, like, Edge's entrance music playing on a loop. Which is like a 7-minute song in itself. Maybe they didn't... Maybe he wasn't supposed to win. Or maybe they didn't expect him to cash it in tonight, or something like that, because there was no confetti, there was no fireworks, there was no Like, he was crying. Edge was. It wasn't very noticeable. He wasn't bawling his eyes out, but at least the man was showing some sort of passion, some sort of, I did it, Dad. I finally did it. I did the darn thing. The Elimination Chamber itself, though, was not a very good match. Not very exciting. Not very, like, I thought I had a rating. I thought I had a rating for it, but I guess I didn't write it down. Well, that's stupid. Why would I not write it down? Usually, there it is. 2 out of 5 stars. That's probably what I would have given it anyway if I had to make a rating right. Like look at it right now and actually make a rating for it. But there was no confetti. There was no fireworks. There was no like, hey, everyone, here's the man that did it. And the crowd didn't seem that interested in it either. They were like, oh, Edge won. Okay. Change the channel. Like the crowd was not very involved in it. Thank you all so much for joining me for another episode of the Gut Wrench Podcast. As always, I would like to thank my sponsors. What do you mean, what sponsors? Didn't you pay attention to the beginning of the program? I ate a turkey sandwich. Yes, I'm sponsored by a turkey sandwich. What? Who are you? You just come in out of left field and you just think that you can run this place? I don't remember signing your name to a piece of paper. What do you mean there's no piece of paper? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. You better not say anything. No, it's not time. Why would I shave my cat? It doesn't make any sense. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. Time to send balloons to the high school? Why would I? Nothing up here with you makes sense. I swear. Just shut up. I'm trying to end the show. I'm trying to just let it go in the show, okay? Like Elsa does. She lets it go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time once again. I swear to God, you get one more. Time to say goodnight, moon. What? What? Good night, moon. Good night, stars. Thank you all so much for joining me. That's a wrap. Good night, everybody.